there are certain things which are almost unstated, and these things are never touched upon by the Ambedkar scholars, and most of the researches being done in the fields of social sciences, even they do not bear on these texts, because these texts are considered untouchable. Untouchable because they will immediately connect Baba Sahib Ambedkar's discourse to the integral unity of India. That is, that Akhand Bharat, that Ekatmak Bharat, which has several vantage positions, several different perspectives, and it respects those differences, because the ground, the root is the same. The root remains Bharat. The root remains Dharma or Dhamma. What I am trying to say, that you cannot understand either the Veda or Baba Sahib Ambedkar, let me tell you, or even Bhagwan Buddha, or if you don't want to use that epithet Bhagwan for Buddha, even the Buddha. So neither the Buddha, nor the Vedic position, nor Sanatana Dharma, nor Buddha Dhamma, neither Swami Vivekananda, nor Gandhi, nor Ambedkar can be understood properly, holistically. Remember, if we let go of this Dhammic position or Dharmic position. And so to begin with, let me say, I quote Ambedkar. Most of the times I'll be quoting from his text that Dhamma is Dharma. Dhamma is a Dharma. And Esho Dhammo Sanatano, whose enunciation was this? The enunciation was that of Gautama Buddha, that Esho Dhamma Sanatano, the largest chapter in Dhammapad, the path and the position of Dharma. The largest chapter was Brahmana Vaggo, the Brahmana Varga. Who were those Brahmins? Who are those Brahmins? That's why I say, when you touch, because he did not get converted to Marxism, because he considered Marxism to be a religion. Mind you, the text, the Buddha and his Dhamma, has one important discourse on religion and Dhamma, or religion and Dharma. He says that I will not join any religion. If you convert even Hinduism as a religion, I will not join. I'll abandon Hinduism, because he did not adopt any religion. And he says, by religion, I mean this. Your adherence, your unquestioning adherence to one book, one prophet, one God, one kind of interpretation. Look, there is a oneness that supports differences, and there is a oneness that chokes, that oppresses. That is not oneness. That is the authoritarian, oppressive uniformity, not unity. Whereas that's why Ambedkar ji said that religion is oppressive. Religion cannot be liberal. Religion cannot support liberty, equality, and fraternity. Only Dhamma can. This is from his last work, the Buddha and his Dhamma. That's why he did not join any religion. He said that whichever path of life, whichever discursive position is akin to this, that this is the thinker, and all his writings, he says that even people say that Buddha was the final word, and Buddha should be followed in the form of a person who spoke the truth. I will not support that idea. Are you getting such an open-ended discourse? Because the positionality of being a follower of Buddha makes you open-ended and self-critical. And that is only possible when you follow Dharma. Now, how he describes Dhamma in different ways, and then you please consider as in what ways is it different from the discursive explanations or definitions of Dharma in Indian tradition. To reach perfection in life is Dhamma. This is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Perfection in body, speech, mind, and action is Dhamma. So perfection in life is Dhamma. Hmm? Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. I just want to take you back to say this is 1956 and go to 1936 when in Annihilation of Past, he says that I have been told that the Vedanta, the thoughts of Upanishad embedded in the Upanishad can really usher into our society based on liberty, fraternity and equality. He says this, but I have no access to Vedanta that way. You know, Dr. Ambedkar ji is very open in this respect. He says that I'm more into the, I'm scrutinizing and I'm really so much saddened by the ground realities where caste as a demon, caste as a monster has debilitated this Indian society, you know, completely debilitated this Indian society. But I have been told that there is something in the intellectual tradition, knowledge tradition of India called Vedanta, and which is practical also. You know, therefore, practical Vedanta, Vyavaharik Vedanta is also there. But he leaves that room open for possibilities, for future, for further growth. All these great thinkers are not monolithic thinkers. They cannot be, you cannot restrict them to one essay, one utterance, actually. There is a constant growth and they continue to grow. So Gandhi grew, Swami Vivekananda grew, all such thinkers. They show some evolution, and whatever is sacred and divine in them, in their ideas, manifest itself at different parts, different parts of their discourses, which were either written or constructed at different periods of time. So to maintain purity in life is dharma or dhamma. So another thing is, first thing is perfection, purnata, and second is shaucha, external as well as internal. This is Baba Sahib Ambedkar Baba. I'm not speaking these things or grafting my own views on Baba Sahib Ambedkar. To reach perfection in life is dharma. To live in nirvana is dharma. And what is nirvana? That Baba Sahib Ambedkar says that for the common people, because it's a difficult concept even in the domain of Buddhistic studies. He says the control and then extinction of passions, human passions, which are a source of dukkha, which are a permanent source of dukkha, you know, is nibbana. So to live in nibbana means practicing self-restraint, yama and niyama, self-restraint, indriya nigraha, atma niyantrana, indriya control, indriya niyantrana. Where is it different from the yam and niyam espoused in the Raja Yoga position? That is Patanjali. Exactly the same. Then he says to give up craving is also dharma. That is asakti ko tyag do. Ye jo asakti hai, this is again he was quoting from the Buddhistic position, and he was also referring to the Sanatana Dharma position. That is again the position of Esho Dhammo Sanatana. That craving, that asakti. So what is anasakta karma? What is anasakta karma? So since you have to create a kind of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar who is hell-bent on demolishing, tilting all the windmills of Hinduism, you have to create a Baba Bhims whose maturest phase is embedded in the liberating possibilities of the Sanatana Dharma, as I tell you. Now again, to believe that all compound things are impermanent is dhamma, that all these things this world is composed of are impermanent. Look at this. No, I'm sorry to say, Varunaji, that no Marxist or Buddhist has got the courage to come up to the expectations of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar in this sense, that this whole social worldly positions and worldly you can say accumulations. Now they are real to the extent that we do not attain nirvana. So till we attain nirvana, all these things are real. They are permanent, but they become impermanent only when we attain the position of nirvana, that is true knowledge, through the extinction of those cravings and desires. So this is a kind of, and then he says, to believe that karma, this is Baba Sahib Ambedkar, to believe that karma, action, is the instrument of moral order is dharma. That any dhamma, I am saying dhamma, any dharma, if you are trying to define dhamma, but dhamma cannot be defined in the absence of achar. So there is no textual epistemology of a dharmic position or a dhammic position, because Buddha's dhamma, according to Baba Sahib Ambedkar, has got to be practiced in the form of sadachara. Now, sadachara paramo dharma, first chapter Manusmriti. No appropriation of anything. Now, I'm not appropriating Manusmriti for Baba Sahib Ambedkar. That Baba Sahib Ambedkar got Manusmriti burnt is another matter altogether. Is another matter, because there are so many things which are there in the Manusmriti, which is an oral text. So many interpolations, my dear. There are so many interpolations in Shakespeare, so many interpolations in Plato and Aristotle, so many interpolations even in James Joyce. They are still trying to recover what the original James Joyce is, because there are so many texts people have interpolated. So memory texts were they. Manu was not an author, a kind of based in a kind of academy, cushioned through central government assistance, commissioned by central government or Oxford University Press or Rutledge to write a book. Was Manu, Gautama, Vyasa, Valmiki, the Bhakti poets were commissioned to write their works? There were so many interpolations. And this is not the subject matter of present discourse, that there is a methodology to get to know what the interpolated text is from the main text. Are you getting me? So this is a very crucial position in entire Baba Sahib Ambedkar said, that he relies on text, but then there are so many textual variations that the interpolated text may give you a frightening version of the same discourse which is so liberating. So there may be impurities within the text as there are impurities outside the text. So if there are social impurities, there are textual impurities, and textual impurities are as self-consciously injected, included, incorporated as the cultural social impurities and perversities, which are also equally self-consciously, engineered. So that's enough. That explains that Mahatma Gandhi, much before Baba Sahib Ambedkar said that, he said that I do not consider any sacred book to be complete truth. If this is Gandhi, much before Baba Sahib Ambedkar, he says, I believe if there is any portion of the so-called sacred text, चाहे वो Holy Quran हो, चाहे वो वेद हो, चाहे वो उपनिषद हो, चाहे वो गुरु ग्रंथ साहब हो, चाहे बाइबल हो, और चाहे कोई भी ग्रंथ हो, Gandhi said that, most radical Gandhi, he says that because the sacred texts in their present form have been manipulated through human mind and imagination, and human mind and human imagination are prone to corruption, and therefore there are corrupt passages in, as Gandhi said, and therefore Gandhi said, if there is anything which is against morality and reason in any sacred text, that should be abandoned. You should not burn them. You should abandon them. You should abandon them. If there is a surgical operation needed in your little finger, you do not chop off the whole hand. That surgical operation is done right on the affected part. Not you dismember the entire organic body. So anyway, And I will come to that later on when there is a debate and engagement between Gandhi and Ambedkar on annihilation of caste. And then based on Dhamma, Ambedkar ji also qualified it further, that there is Dhamma and there is also one more enabling position, Sadharma. There is Dhamma and there is Sadhamma. Now, what is this Sadhamma? Sadhamma is not different from Dhamma, but you can understand Dhamma better if you want to progress onto the path of Dhamma. He says, to cleanse the mind of all its impurities is to be on the path of Sadhamma. That your mind should be purified of whatever is gross, whatever is oppressive, exploitative, to make the world a kingdom of Dhamma or righteousness. Mind you, the objective of Sadhamma is not to make only an individual, not to make an individual as a practitioner of righteousness, that is morality, that is Dhamma, that मैं धम्म का प्रैक्टिस करूं, यही सब धर्म और धर्म का लक्षण नहीं है या उद्देश्य नहीं है. उद्देश्य यह भी है to make this world the kingdom of Dhamma or righteousness, so that Sadharma should always promote three things: pragya, that is proper understanding; samyak jnana, pragya; maitri, friendship, intimacy; and karuna, and compassion. And then we should pull down those who are on the path of Dhamma or Sadharma. They should pull down all social and cultural barriers which come in the way of realization of Dhamma or Sadhamma. Then he says that if you are on the path of Dhamma, that is Buddhistic Dhamma, then worth and not birth is the measure of men. Worth and not birth. Remember, your worth, your value, your status, and remember, caste and varna, they were demonized, they were considered immoral because they created a hereditary as well as hierarchical arrangement of human beings, of the units of society. So they were condemned. That is varna, degeneration of varna into jati, precisely because of this, that worth was not considered to belong to a particular varna or jati, whereas birth was considered a quality, to belong to a particular jati. So Dr. Ambedkar, as in annihilation of caste, so is in this, the Buddha and his Dhamma, he says that this is not the way of Dhamma. Now remember, even in the discourse of Dharma, which is, as I said, these are the two discourses, which we are not two discourses, one discourse with some variations, because it's a differential perspective on Dharma, because there are so many impurities in the discourse of Dharma, which I think through Buddhistic perspectives, we can understand them better, we can purify them. So therefore, this birth-based hereditary system of either varna or jati is objectionable. But then the Gita says, Chatur varnam maya srishta guna karma vibhagisha. That this whole arrangement of human beings, this social stratification is based on the occupational division, which is again based on your guna, your qualities, karma, your actions, and swabhav, your aptitude or nature. Now remember, when he begins this famous essay, Annihilation of Caste, he says that without division of labor, no society, no human society can be organized, can exist without occupational division of society. Labor. So labor has to be organized, divided, in order to create an organically functioning whole, that is society, but not the division of laborers. Because when the laborers are divided into jatis and varnas, hierarchically arranged, and become hereditary, this is the sign of not only decline, but oppression and exploitation of the poor and the deprived. So remember this, he fulminates against this kind of division of society on the basis of jati, which is hereditary, or varna, which is hereditary as well as hierarchical. But he is not against the division of society. That is the concept of varna, is the division of society on the basis of occupation, on the basis of one's professional status. So that four orders, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, they were not hierarchical as well as hereditary. That they degenerated into, ossified into a highly oppressive and exploitative mode of discourse as well as social practice, is a sure sign of decline of Hindu society or Indian society. No doubt about that. Then again, in the same book, as I tell you, so Dhamma is righteousness, which means right relations between men and men in all spheres of life. So Dhamma is righteousness. Dhamma is naitikta. Dharma is sadachara. Dharma, if you see the meanings, the dictionary meanings of Dhamma, that which holds, that which is essence, that which is the substance, that which is morality, that which is spiritual, that which is the essential nature of any commodity or idea, that which sustains, that is Dhamma, that is Dharma. Now precisely, it is this Dhamma that holds society together, because this society depends on the kind of relations between men, and men means between one human being and another human being. And in other words, again, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's very important announcement is that any society cannot do without Dhamma. So what is Dharma? Dharma is that which holds as an organic entity. Any entity which is organic, it is precisely because of its Dharma. It is, so Ambedkar ji says that no society can do away with Dharma. There cannot be any Dharma Nirapeksha society. What would have Ambedkar ji said about this constitutional, change, amendment, whereby the two terms, secular as well as socialist, were added to the preamble. That Dharma Nirapeksha and Dharma Nirapeksha as well as, so secular as well as socialist. Dhamma is nothing if it is not an instrument of government. I am not speaking, sir. This is again Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar. He, again, even Gandhi could not conceptualize this position of this dharmic position. Even Gandhi could not conceptualize. This is the position taken by either Adi Shankara or Swami Vivekananda or Sri Aurobindo. That this is not the position of having a theocratic state. No. He says that, again, it is not a religious state that I am talking about when he explains the position of Dhamma. Dhamma is nothing if it is not an instrument of government. And the same, the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constitution, what would have been his reaction? Who espoused the following of Dhamma, adherence to Dhamma, not in one's spiritual pursuits to attain moksha, individual moksha. No. Here was the person who says that your entire governance. Now, my dear friend, there can be a minor sort of a kind of, I just want to change the registers. There, once upon a time, you read The Meaning of India by Raja Rao, and Raja Rao asked Nehru. Raja Rao comments on an incident when Andre Malraux came to India, and Nehru and Andre Malraux meet. And Andre Malraux, because Andre Malraux was a French Nobel laureate and Raja Rao was the interpreter. Now, Andre Malraux asked Nehru, that Pandit Nehru ji, tell me what is the position of Advaita, non-dualism, in real life in India, because you are the maker of modern India. Now, Nehru silenced Andre Malraux. I said it is because of this mumbo jumbo called this spiritual discursivities that India upheld. India has come to this sorry situation and condition. There are 3-4 times in the meaning of India that Raja Rao mentions, and he's alarmed. Andre Malraux was nonplussed to see the reaction of the maker of modern India, who said that non-dualism, and here I will quote from Baba Sahib Ambedkar. To him, Advaitic position, the non-dualistic social position in Vyavhara, in actuality, was the bedrock, was the foundation on which the entire superstructure of governance was to be based. Self-governed mentality. फुको की तरफ मत जाइए आप. आपके ही ट्रेडिशन में बहुत है जो फुको को सीखना चाहिए. स्वराज. Swaraj is not possible without Atmabodh, Gandhi's formula in Hindu Swaraj. You cannot have Swaraj without Atmabodh. And how can you have? So, look, I will now first quote from Ambedkar to tell you something which very few people either read or quote from Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar's writings. So, he says that if it is not an instrument of government, it's not theocracy he was referring to. No, it is oppressive, exploitative. No, it should be abandoned. No idea of theocracy. But Dhammic, it should be grounded in Dhamma. And therefore, he went on to the extent of saying, society may choose, this is Baba Bhimrao Ambedkar, last writings. Society may choose Dhamma plus the magistrate where the people fail to observe the Dhamma. That is Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. Not even a syllable has been added by me. That even I will go to the extent of appointing Dhamma Mahamatra. Who appointed Dhamma Mahamatra? Those who were the keepers of Dhamma, not the keepers of religion. They were not the big Swamis, keepers of Hinduism, or Maulvis or Mullahs or the fathers or the popes. No such authorities. Those who are invested with, those who are having immense reserves of Dhamma, that's morality, that Naitikta, that Sheel, that Karuna, that Naitikta, that morality. These people should officiate and they should ensure that Dhamma should prevail in all walks of life. This is a patently Sanatan Dharmi position. Now, when he used the term the magistrate, it is not to be decoded very denotatively or literally. He says that you have to make efforts, the state has to make efforts that people lead a life of Dhamma morality. They should not lead a life particular to a religion, that all their actions should not be driven, their political choices, their social life should not be based on a value structure driven by a religion, mind you. He always attacked that term, religion. He says, so remember, enough for the social scientists. Ambedkar throws a challenge, accept me or reject me. If you don't accept my Dhammic position, even for the system of governance, you can reject me. So Ambedkar offers himself to be rejected by the social scientists of India, the so-called Marxists, the so-called Ambedkarites themselves. And then he said that, remember, Dhamma is the principle. Dhamma is the principle on which governance is to be based, remember. He says that there is a difference between principle and rule. His differences with Gandhi also crop up. He says that when Gandhi sometimes talked of ahimsa, sometimes he made ahimsa a rule, not principle. And then, look at, he was an intellectual colossus, Baba Sahib Ambedkar. He says that there is and he was a jurist, he was an educationist. How to compartmentalize Baba Sahib Ambedkar's genius into one socket, है ना? तो उन्होंने कहा बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर ने कि साहब ये बताइए कि ये कैसे आप इसको कंसेप्चुलाइज करेंगे. तो उन्होंने कहा कि मैं आपसे बात कर रहा था कि इसके लिए तो एक मजिस्ट्रेट भी अगर अपॉइंट करना पड़े. हु इज दिस मजिस्ट्रेट? दोज हु आर हैविंग द रिजर्व्स ऑफ morality. So this morality is the ground. This Dhamma is to be the terra firma on which this governmentality, this whole governmental superstructure is to be based. So that is the dharmic position, dharmic position, that is Ramarajya also, you can say, because Ramarajya was not based on one physical person, historical person named Rama, and his Raj, a theocracy. No, Ramarajya means good governance. Ramarajya means good governance. With good governance was also the governance of Hitler. No, not good governance of Hitler. Good governance is ethical governance, ethically driven governance, dharma-centric governance, dharma kendrit. धर्म से तो चित होना ही नहीं चाहते, ना गांधी ना अंबेडकर, और अपने पूरे भरपूर विरोधों के बाद भी सावरकर और लाला लाजपत राय और स्वामी विवेकानंद और श्री, इनके भरपूर विरोध हैं। विरोध तो हमारी परंपरा में है। आप देखें ना कि कैसे जब हमारा पहला आप क्या कहेंगे उसको, जिसको हम कहते कि यास्क का निरुक्त रखा गया, इटिमोलॉजिकल एक हमारा का ग्रंथ लिखा गया। सो यास्क मुनि डेटिंग बैक टू 9th century, पाणिनि से भी पहले, उन्होंने 13 positions whereby Vedas have got to be condemned and discredited. So there are 13 positions on the basis of which Yask Muni, who was to expound the very epistemology as well as etymology of the terms and concepts on the basis of dharma, or on the basis of which Vedic dharma or Vedic knowledge is to be attained. Now he starts the grantha by listing 13 positions of you can say criticality. They are highly critical of Ved, and then for all those 13 positions, that is the Purva Paksha, he prepares the Paksha. He answers those 13 positions. And then he prepares. So this is the intellectual tradition. Opposition of any idea as a given, and then trying to proceed forward by explaining that idea or critiquing that idea, has been a hallmark of Indian tradition. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and Gandhi were not doing anything which was radically different from what has already been done in the Indian tradition by all the major thinkers and the bhakti poets also. ये हमारी ट्रेडिशन की परंपरा हमारे यहाँ है विरोध की। हमारे यहाँ विरोध का मतलब ये नहीं था कि उसको जाके और उसको या तो क्रॉस पे टांग दो या उसको कोपरनिकस की जगह तरह जला दो। ये हमारे यहाँ बौद्धिक शास्त्रीय विरोध की कोई ऐसी परंपरा नहीं है, परसिक्यूशन की ऐसी परंपरा नहीं है ज्ञान में। खैर, अब उन्होंने ये कहा कि गांधी ने इसलिए माय पोजीशन ऑफ धम्मा, दैट धम्मा रिमेन्स द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ गवर्नेंस, and there is a difference between principle and rule, which he says Gandhi should have understood better, that a principle supports freedom, whereas a rule restricts freedom. And the finest possible way to understand the difference between a rule and a principle. Therefore, principle is life-giving. But when anything degenerates into a mere rule, which is not anchored into principle, deriving its applicability on the basis of a principle, ये ध्यान रहे, Dhamma, position of Dhamma or Dharma, if they degenerate into dogma and are not based on, as Dr. Ambedkar says, that this is principle. So a principle, but not ossified into, fossilized into a life-sapping rule, dogma. And this is the difference. So ahimsa also supports virya, shaurya, parakram. Remember, viryam is one of the paramitas. I will come to that also. One of the 10 perfections demands viryam also, even in Buddhist. And Babasaheb Ambedkar said in the same book, look, that I will follow the 8-fold path of Dhamma as well as the 10 paramitas, the 10 perfections espoused by the Buddha. So not that he was trying to advocate, as Gandhi sometimes did, that ahimsa is the principle as well as the rule. He says that Dhamma is the Dhamma which is based on compassion, and compassion is non-violence. But this compassion is not restricted to the followers of one particular code of religion or ideology, mind you. My compassion is not only for the followers of Hindus or Muslims or Sikhs or Isais, Christians or Jains or Jews. So my compassion, my karuna, if restricted to them, it is very dangerous, because it will degenerate into hatred, enmity, and oppression, and ultimately there will be wars on the basis of this same kind of highly restricted notion of ahimsa. Ahimsa only among those who follow a particular religion. But for others, the moment you come to the path of Dhamma, you are outside the path of religion. These two terms have different, altogether different connotations. मेरा बहुत बड़ा विनम्र निवेदन है कि बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर को समझने के लिए हमें ये जो टर्म है इनको बहुत गंभीरता और गहराई से समझना चाहिए। नंबर अब इसके बाद देखिए, आप कहें कि बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर ने क्या आउटकास्ट को भी परिभाषित किया? ध्यान रहे, अब ये तो बड़ी विचित्र बात हो जाएगी कि साहब बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर ने कि आउटकास्ट को परिभाषित किया। उनको उन्होंने उसी किताब में द बुद्धा एंड हिज धम्मा, उसमें वो कहते हैं कि देयर आर 10 काइंड्स ऑफ चांडाल, 10 काइंड्स ऑफ आउटकास्ट, बट दे आर नॉट बेस्ड ऑन कास्ट, they are based on certain evil propensities. Those who do not follow, nor do they want to follow, nor they show any kind of trace of improvement, they are hardened evildoers. He lists 10 such characteristics of these people. Only these are outside Dhamma, because they do not show, they can be within the fold of Dhamma, but Dhamma cannot be joined in. जैसे मैंने आपके साथ join in किया कि एक webinar create कर लिया, एक ऐप से join in. Dhamma cannot be joined in through such artificial verbalized means of mere verbalization of Dhamma. यही तो भक्ति कवियों ने हमारे यहाँ, चाहे निर्गुण हो चाहे सगुण हो, धज्जियां उड़ा दी उन्होंने उन सारे आचार्यों की, जिन आचार्यों ने mere textualized verbosity, textualized verbal articulation of धम्मा और धर्म और अध्यात्म, जिन्होंने नियम कानून बनाए, जिन्होंने नियम बनाए, जिन्होंने दर्शन बनाए, लेकिन आचार में तो कुछ रहा नहीं। कितनी बड़ी, such an amazing condemnation of that verbalized spirituality. The problem with spirituality, that is Dhamma, that is righteousness. He says that Dhamma is righteousness. Dhamma is morality. Dhamma is extinction of passions. If it is not that, then, so remember, this is very crucial. And fifth thing that Dr. Ambedkar upholds throughout this, the Buddha and his Dhamma, he says, and now I quote him, no caste, no inequality, no superiority, no inferiority. All are equal. That is what the Buddha stood for, and that is what I stand for. I quote again Dr. Ambedkar. Now, this is the practical Advaita. This is the practical Advaita. व्यवहारिक अद्वैत, जिसे स्वामी विवेकानंद ने कहा, श्री अरविंदो ने भी कहा, गांधी ने भी कहा, ये सब, ये ध्यान रहे, इसी अद्वैत की बात आंद्रे मोल्रो कर रहा था जवाहरलाल नेहरू से, पंडित जी से, and पंडित जी looked askance. He felt humiliated when Andre Mollo asked about the practical implementation of Advaita that Baba Bhimrao Ambedkar ji is talking about. तो वो क्या कह रहे हैं? देखिए, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात है. This is the practical method of attaining nirvana, attaining dhammahood, or the status of being in dharma, in dhamma. क्या है? Identify yourself with others. Identify yourself with others. Read Gandhi's Talisman. Please read Gandhi. Those who shout horse, cry horse, positing a Gandhi against Ambedkar and Ambedkar against Gandhi and against Sanatan Dharma. Kindly look at Ambedkar. This is Ambedkar. Identify yourself with others. Tat tvam asi. Sarvam khalvidam brahmam. Sarvam khalvidam brahmam. Tat tvam asi. Punam madha punam idam. Purnat Purnam Jayate. So look at these positionalities. Holistic and Advaitic. Dvaita is there, dualism is there. That's why he says that if you want to make your society a good society, a Dhamma-based society, a Dhammic society, as I say, a society based on not on ritualism, but on righteousness. Now then identify yourself with others. Others are hell in the Western sense. Self and other. पूरा social sciences का discourse इसी fragmentation पे चल रहा है. Can the subaltern speak? Look at that essay, which was written as a kind of manifesto of post-colonial feminism. Now, she does not refer to the Vedas and says that Vedas support Sati Pratha, that demonization of women. Now, look at the level of ignorance of that master writer of critical theory, Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak. But since she was working within with the support of Western Academy, she had to write that kind of thing without any support. Whereas there are verses in the Rig Veda, 9th Mandal, that invoke the widow, that you should rise up, join your family and perform your social obligations because the husband whom you loved is now dead. You have now to join your family in order to discharge, perform your social obligations. Only 2 verses are addressed to a widow in the Rig Veda. And mind you, I am not using my own English. Please read Griffith's translation of Rig Veda. है ना, जिन्हें अंग्रेजी में ही भरोसा है और हिंदी और भारत की भाषाओं से लगातार घृणा है कि इसमें कोई बौद्धिक चर्चा हो नहीं सकती. अरे भाई, अंग्रेजों को भी तो पढ़ लो. चिल्ला चिल्ला के उन्होंने कहा कि ऐसा तो नहीं है ऋग्वेद में. लेकिन जब वहां से स्पिवॉक जी, she hammers home the point without quoting, without reference. Is it not intellectual theft or intellectual crime? It is. It very much. There is no, as yet, no disclaimer. और न ये बच्चों को पढ़ाया जाता है ना, बच्चों को भी नहीं. बच्चों को तो यही बताया जाता है कि all women are subaltern and all women were forced to commit sati in this India because it became a pratha. And anyway, so mind you, identify yourself with others. Now the second part is even more radical. As they, so I. तत्त्वम असि के बाद वरुण जी, मुझे इतना बड़ा आप्त वाक्य मिलना मुश्किल है पूरे वाङ्मय में. मैं बहुत अल्पज्ञ हूं. मुझे इतना तात्विक, जो कि पूरा व्यवहार के धरातल पर खड़ा हुआ जो महावाक्य है, as they, so I. This is Ambedkar for. अरे भैया, कौन ब्राह्मण, कौन क्षत्रिय, कौन अग्रवाल, कौन वरुण गुलाटी, कौन सुधीर कुमार सक्सेना, कौन नेहा वर्मा, कौन है ये वर्मा, कौन है ये गुलाटी? क्यों? As they, so I. tat tvam asi. व्यवहारिक लेवल पे. Only then you can espouse the path of Dhamma, not through Kancha Elaiva methods and the methods of those who engineer, who manufacture and manipulate a kind of Ambedkar who has only concentrated hatred for dharmic positions or dhammic positions or Sanatan Dharma. So he says, so, and still it is not complete. Look, as they, so I. And again, as I, so they. So said the Buddha. So this us and them dichotomy, this I and you dichotomy, which lies at the nucleus of all, as I said, all those Torak forces, all those forces which are breaking apart, which are out to break apart this integrality of India, integrality of this world. Mata Bhumi Putro Evam Prithivya. Bhumi Sukta. Now, Janam Vivarti Bahuda Vivachasam Nana Dharmanam Prithvi Ethoksam. ठीक है, बाबा साहब अंबेडकर ने कोट नहीं किया, लेकिन बाबा साहब अंबेडकर तो इसी जमीन पर. The differences of people, demographic differences, population differences in the nature of the people that inhabit this Prithvi, and then their customs, conventions, and their ways of life, dharma, nana dharma, Prithvi ethoksam, this whole earth upholds, celebrates these differences. So differences of speech, differences of custom, differences of culture, differences of all kinds of things, they are all sustained by the Dhamma of Prithvi. Prithvim धारेत धेनुवत, ये पृथ्वी इन सारी विभिन्नताओं को एक धारयति, पृथ्वी का धर्म है, और जहां जहां अधर्म है, वॉयलेशन है, वहीं पर फिर सामाजिक विद्रोह है, अवनति है, पतन है, हिंसा है, शोषण है, जहां जहां. इट्स नॉट ए क्वेश्चन of my being a Hindu or other being is Muslim. I mean to say, when such differentiation, is grounded into hardened categories, whereby each category is vying with the other to either subsume the other into itself, or defeat the other, destroy the other. In that sense, the other will always be hell. तो हम दलिताइज जो डिस्कोर्स करेंगे, हम तो दलिताइज करेंगे इसको, सबको, सोसाइटी, इन ब्राह्मणों को मारेंगे, इन वर्णों को मारेंगे. ये कौन सी पोजीशन है? द पोस्ट हिंदू इंडिया बाय कांचा इलैया, ये कौन सी पोजीशन है? ये बाबा साहब की पोजीशन तो नहीं हो सकती. So this is the Buddha and his dharma. And then prior to this, I also want to focus your attention on the 22 vows, the greatest incidence of conversion. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, after 1935, started telling that I was born a Hindu, but I will not die a Hindu. है ना? ठीक है, हमारे यहाँ तो ये परंपराएं इतनी जबरदस्त हैं. When the Vedas were text, लिखे तो कभी गए नहीं, composed, yeah, when they were there in, you can say, in circulation, part of the collective memory and consciousness of India, जो ये थे, तो religion कौन सा था मुझे बता. Which religion was there? है ना? Religion जो western epistemology में, religion तो नहीं था. Ways of life थे, perspectives थे अपने. तो न कोई हिंदू था उस सेंस में. वेदों के टाइम कौन हिंदू था? अरे भाई, रामायण और महाभारत के टाइम कोई हिंदू था? कौन मुस्लिम था? कौन क्रिश्चियन था? कौन ईसाई था? कौन ज्यू था? ये तो सब बाद की हमारी संकल्पनाएं हैं, बाद की संकल्पनाएं. तो ये जो एक समस्या है कि जो 22 प्रतिज्ञाएं हैं, जो कि आपको ध्यान हो, ये 15 अक्टूबर 1956 को हुआ था, आपको ध्यान हो, ये जो दीक्षा दिवस मनाया जाता है. तो उसमें 8 लाख लोगों ने धर्मांतरण किया था. धर्मांतरण से मतलब क्या किया? They changed from one position of dharma, which was the position of decline, actually, as they felt it, as they experienced it. Fine, because आपको बताऊंगा कि ये क्यों हमारे यहाँ sanctioned है. But they adopted a different position on the same axis of Sanatan Dharma, which they called Dhamma, which to them was the emancipatory position. And for that to happen, to adopt that position, Dr. Ambedkar asked the followers to focus on these 22 vows. मैं पूरी उन पे नहीं जा रहा, मैं आपको एक उसका स्ट्रक्चर बता रहा, कैसे उसमें सबसे ज्यादा वोज ऑफ निगेशन है. सबसे पहले वोज ऑफ निगेशन 22 है. 22 में 8 तो सीधी निगेटिव वोज है. निगेटिव वोज, निगेटिव इन द सेंस दैट they affirm something by negation. This is one method. 2 double negatives make one affirmation. तो 8 जो पहली 5 हैं, I shall have no faith in Ram and Krishna, I shall have no faith in Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. ध्यान रहे, ये बाबा साहब की 22 प्रतिज्ञाएं बाबा साहब ने लिखी थी, है ना. अब इन नेगेशन वाली वोज को लीजिए आप. आर दे वोज ऑफ नेगेशन, trying to turn this Dhamma into a religion? ये का प्रश्न पूछा जा सकता है. No. कैसे? ये सारी वो जो प्रतिज्ञाएं हैं, they are a part and parcel of this vast tradition, which consists of sometimes even contradictory positions. How? I shall have no faith in Brahma, Vishnu or Mahesh, nor shall I worship them. Then worshipping gods in any form is not the necessary condition to be within the fold of dharma. So there is nothing new. Many people do not they do not even know about the significance of Brahma, Vishnu or Mahesh. They worship their own kinds of divinities or forms of divinities. And secondly, firm belief in one God or any one God is not the salient feature of Indic traditions, particularly Sanatan Dharma. So you can belong to Sankhya and Vaisheshika, and you can be, I will not use the term atheist, but you can be a non-believer in a God, dhyan rahe, God is a Western Semitic Abrahamic position. Those Abrahamic positions, they offer gods and God, books, their prophets, they are to be discarded, he says. So if Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, they are the gods, they are not to be worshipped by the followers of the path of Dhamma, of the path of the Buddha. I shall have no faith in Ram and Krishna, who are believed to be incarnations of God, nor shall I worship them. It's very carefully couched pratigya. No faith in Ram and Krishna, who are believed to be incarnation of God. ये जो प्रयोग है ना शब्द का, बहुत ध्यान रखिए. गॉड, पहले तो आप कभी, ये अलग विषय है कि क्या गॉड का स्पेस क्या है हिंदू जिसे आप हिंदू डिस्कोर्स कहती है, तो हमने बाद में कहा है. और ये, लेकिन जो सनातन धार्मिक पोजीशन है, अगर आप बुद्धिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव से देखें, तो हमारी ट्रेडिशन में गॉड हैज नो सेंट्रलिटी. गॉड हैज नो सेंट्रलिटी. तो इसलिए उस राम कृष्ण से उसको मैं सेंट्रल नहीं फिर समझता, मेरा कोई विश्वास नहीं है, जो कि गॉड का इनकारनेशन है. अब साहब, गॉड का इनकारनेशन है, उससे मेरी कोई आस्था नहीं. नॉर शैल आई वर्शिप दैम. फेयर इनफ कि गॉड यहां नहीं है, उसका इनकारनेशन. एनीवन कैन से दैट आई डू नॉट वर्शिप दिस और दिस पर्सन एज इनकारनेशन. कितने मंदिर हैं, कहाँ पे आपने गांधी जी को भी अब आपने महिमा मंडित इतना किया है कि if Gandhi's statues are discovered by the people, say 5,000 years hence, they would call Gandhi a god. अगर उन्हें वेस्टर्न किताबें मिल जाती हैं godhood की, that there used to be a god, there used to be a kind of supreme authority who lorded over all. God was the law, God was the book, God was everything. So such a God, even if such God incarnates as Ram and Krishna, I will never believe it. Fine. Third, I shall have no faith in Gauri, Ganapati, and other gods and goddesses of Hindus, nor shall I worship them. So against Hindus, those who worship these divinities, fine. Not being a Hindu is not a problem in India. If Hindu being a Hindu means being a religious Hindu, religious within inverted commas. Whether you can be a Hindu by being a Sanatani. Now we use the term Hindu, which is again I go back to Savarkar, that he says that biggest our misfortune is that Hinduism is considered to be the synonym of Hindu Dharma or Sanatan Dharma. This is not it. Misconstruction is, it is not that Hindu-pan or Hindutva, you can say. It is not Hindutva. Because Hinduism has nothing to do with your being a Hindu. You can be a Hindu without following these deities, without following these gods, without believing in these gods and goddesses. And then I do not believe in the incarnation of God. मैं किसी God के incarnation में. But remember, he continued to believe in bodhisattvas. ये सेंट्रल पैराडॉक्स है पूरे बुद्धिज्म का, इस पे कोई आंसर नहीं है ना. ये हमारे यहाँ चलता है, हमारे यहाँ ओपन एंडेड भी होता है डिस्कोर्स. सारे प्रश्नों के सारे उत्तर तो नहीं मिल पाते, कई बार बहुत जन्म लेने पड़ सकते हैं. On the one hand, incarnation denied. On the other hand, rebirth is accepted by Bhimrao Ambedkar ji. He says that I do not believe in the incarnation of God. Again, he reinforces the idea that God, the idea of God I do not believe in, I cannot believe in. And the idea of the incarnation of that God cannot be believed in. And he asked his followers not. So first four, and then fifth one is, I do not and shall not believe that Lord Buddha was the incarnation of Vishnu. So if Vishnu is a deity, is a God, I'll ask my followers or the followers of the Buddha not to believe that he was an incarnation of a Vishnu. Again, a very open-ended position, because these things are very much there as a part and parcel of Indian tradition. Because in the Upanishad, you do not find one deity, ekam sat viprabhudavanti. There can be different opinions on truth, and all these different perspectives on truth can lead one on to the approximation of truth, not the perfect realization of truth. So that is our position. Then seventh is most important, remember. I shall not act in a manner violating the principles and teachings of the Buddha. Where are the followers of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar ji? Where are the purveyors of the Dalit politics? Now he makes it a condition that the eightfold path, remember, 8 vows are negative, but then there are 7 vows which are based on the eightfold path of Dhamma. 7, 8 plus 7. What I will not do and what I will do. 8 plus 7, 15. Both are interdependent. Remember, they are not antithetical. So you have to see the construction, the very structure, which creates its own, as I said, उसमें अपनी विरचना हो जाती है. उसकी रचना देखिए. पहला कहता है, I shall not, ये जो सातवां, I shall not act in a manner violating the principles and teachings of the Buddha. तो अगर प्रज्ञा, शील, करुणा अगर ये है, और अगर सम्यक कर्म है, सम्यक ज्ञान है, और सम्यक बुद्धि है, सम्यक संकल्प है, शील है, शांति है, तो फिर ब्राह्मणिकल क्या हो सकता है? फिर ये हिंदुइज्म जैसा ऑगर क्या है? देयर इज नो सच ऑगर, बिकॉज द मोमेंट यू अडॉप्ट द बुद्धा's dhamma, then the other vanishes. You cannot go on arguing, demolishing, demonizing the other, either by naming it as Hindu or Brahman or Kshatriya or Vaishya, or on the other hand, you are trying to be on the path of Dhamma. Remember, so he says that I shall not act in a manner, even I will not in any manner, if I am violating the principles and teachings of the Buddha. Who were the Brahmins? He was not a supporter of Varna Vyavastha or Jati Pratha in the hereditary and hierarchical position. Never. But this was not the position of the Sanatana Dharma. When society degenerated, the members of society who were empowered, they wanted to retain their positions through such kind of perversities, distortions. These distortions may happen and have happened even within the fold of Buddhism. There is a practiced form of Buddhism, and there is a kind of what we call the epistemology, the knowledge of Dhamma as the textual knowledge of Dhamma, discourse of Dhamma or Buddha Buddha Dharma. So there is a difference, there is a gap, there will always be a gap between theory and practice. But if the practice, which may be imperfect, if it is grounded in that theory which is emancipatory, if that theory cannot stand without the achara, which is the performative aspect of theory, and the performative aspect cannot stand on its own without that emancipatory idea, So the idea and practice both support each other. Jnana and karma, they both support each other. Remember, this is so in the Sanatana Dharmic position, चाहे भगवद गीता लीजिए, ज्ञान योग and karma योग, bhakti ho. They are not indifferent to each other, not alienated from each other. They are interdependent. They can't be. So it is this position of jnana. बुद्ध का मतलब ही भैया ज्ञान है ना, सम्यक ज्ञान, फिर सम्यक कर्म होगा, सम्यक दृष्टि होगी. लेकिन सम्यक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है ना. ये जो सम्यक, जिसे आप अंग्रेजी में राइट कह देते हैं, जिसे कंप्लीट भी कर, देयर इज नो वन इंग्लिश वर्ड व्हिच कैन कंसेप्चुअलाइज इट्स एसेंस. वो सम्यक ही समझते हैं. बल्कि इसका भी पाली, मुझे पता, मैं प्रोनाउंस नहीं कर पाता हूँ, पाली में जाइए तो और लोक परक अर्थ मिलेगा इसका, भगवान बुद्ध का, जो वो बात इंग्लिश में कह रहे थे बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर. Then he says that I shall not allow any ceremony to be performed by Brahma. Against rituals, entire Upanishad stands against the farcical exercises, the reductio ad absurdum of ritualism, है ना. उनके खिलाफ हमारे यहाँ ट्रेडिशन में विद्रोह है. मैंने आपसे कौत्स की ट्रेडिशन बताई, वहां भी विद्रोह है. अरे आप भरत मुनि की नाट्य शास्त्र ले लीजिए, तो नाट्य शास्त्र कह रहा है कि भाई वेदों का अध्ययन स्त्रियों को और शूद्रों को नहीं हो रहा था, इसलिए आई एम क्रिएटिंग दिस नाट्य विच इज सार्ववर्णिक, which includes women. Remember, the first discourse of aesthetics was also dharma-centric. इंडिया में धर्म को छोड़कर नहीं जा सकते आप. धर्म नहीं छोड़ेगा ना आपको. It is a part and parcel of people's consciousness. Because there was neither Hindu, जब वो भरत मुनि का नाट्य शास्त्र लिखा गया. मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूँ कि अंबेडकर जी पे दलित एस्थेटिक्स भी है ना. दलित एस्थेटिक्स में भी इसी प्रकार की विभिन्नता है. एक है कास्ट सेंट्रिक और एक है एक्सपीरियंस सेंट्रिक. Experience centric will always lead you towards Dhamma, and only caste centric exclusivist notion of caste and the Dalit discourse will lead you to what? Will lead you to these fault lines and fissures of a truncated vision of Indian cultural and spiritual tradition. आप उससे अलग होते जाएंगे. ऐसा विजन बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर का नहीं था. तो फिर वो कहते हैं उसी वाव में कि आई शैल एंडेवर टू एस्टेब्लिश इक्वालिटी एंड आई शैल बिलीव इन द इक्वालिटी ऑफ मैन. बिलीविंग इन द इक्वालिटी ऑफ मैन, एंड देन एक प्रतिज्ञा और ली, आई शैल एंडेवर टू एस्टेब्लिश इक्वालिटी. मैं समानता में के लिए न केवल उसमें विश्वास करता हूं, बल्कि मैं समानता को स्थापित करने का प्रयत्न करूंगा. ध्यान रहे, the discourse on Dhamma, when he said that I will see that the government is based on the practical application of Dhamma. Your governance should be Dhamma based. So my notion of equality, was his notion of equality a Marxist notion of equality? तो फिर उसका एड्रेस डॉक्टर अंबेडकर का काठमांडू एड्रेस पढ़िए आपने, जिसमें एंड्स और मीन्स है ही नहीं. So the violent means, let there be the followers of Marx and let there be the butchering of crores of people in Soviet Russia, in China, and so many other parts. No, because the instrumentality does not consider the difference between it does not consider that the means are equally important. The ethical nature of means is as important as the desirability of objectives, that is the ends. So it is here that he parted ways with Marxism, and he says that this is dogmatic. I shall follow the noble eightfold path of the Buddha. Eightfold path. ये जो चाहे अष्टांग योग हो और चाहे ये आर्य मार्ग हो, जो मध्य मार्ग कहा गया है, एक उन्होंने कहा ये नहीं छोड़ना है मुझे, और दूसरा I will follow the paramitas prescribed by the Buddha. Paramitas means perfections. 10 kinds of perfections. 10 points of human life which need to be perfected. Now our notion of Dhamma, हमारे यहाँ ये अलग अलग शब्द नहीं है. संस्कृति, सभ्यता, धर्म, धम्म, संस्कार, they are all intertwined. इसलिए जब गांधी से पूछा कि भाई ये बताइए, ये क्या है सभ्यता, ये क्या है संस्कृति, उसने कहा सुधारो, गुड कंडक्ट. उसे कोई रेमंड विलियम्स की, हेबरमास की तरह कोई पब्लिक स्फीयर की जरूरत नहीं थी। उसे इतने थियरेटिकल ये जो लॉगजैम है, ये जो वर्बोसिटी है, जो इतना इट इज स्टीप्ड इन वायलेंस, यू नो, एंड इग्नोरेंस, तमस और रजस, वो तो बिल्कुल सात्विक नोशन है। गांधी ने और अंबेडकर ने कहा, उन्होंने कहा भाई यही है। उन्होंने कहा धर्म क्या है? अंबेडकर से धम्मा इज मोरालिटी, धम्मा इज गुड एथिकल एक्शन, इज धम्मा, धम्मा इज राइचसनेस, धम्मा इज निर्वाण, another name of nirvana is dhamma, he says. So he says that I shall have compassion and loving kindness for all living beings and protect them. I'll protect them. Loving kindness, compassion, karuna. With this karuna, तो फिर कैसे होगा? दलित पॉलिटिक्स तो नहीं होगी, तो सारी पॉलिटिक्स ही खत्म हो जानी है, वोट बैंक पॉलिटिक्स खत्म होनी है। अंबेडकर जी तो से और गांधी, द प्रॉब्लम विद अंबेडकर, गांधी, श्री अरबिंदो, स्वामी विवेकानंद इज दैट द डॉगमेटिक फोल्ड्स ऑफ आइडियोलॉजी, even if they try to appropriate a Gandhi or an Ambedkar or a Savarkar, you can do them. There are certain loopholes in all these discourses, mind you. So you can abuse them also. You can use them when they can be used to win you votes or to teach people how to hate others, exclude others, because there are, you can find certain quotations either in Gandhi or Savarkar or Swami Vivekananda or human mind. Imperfections may be there, लेकिन वो imperfections are not the whole actually. वो तो कोई भी पूर्ण तो व्यक्ति कोई नहीं है। पूर्णता की ओर तो सब लोगों को जाना चाहिए, लेकिन पूर्ण होकर you cannot describe what it means to be पूर्ण. Therefore, with compassion at the center, that is Advaita at the center. Dualism is there, Dvaita is there, but this Dvaita can only be addressed through Advaita. Our tradition is that of, say, Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita. Vishishtadvaita. भाई द्वैत भी है, अद्वैत भी है, लेकिन द्वैत और उसके बीच में एक विशिष्टाद्वैत भी है, एक क्वालिफाइड नॉन ड्युअलिज्म भी है। वो ये है कि मैं जानता हूं कि तुमने ये कास्ट सिस्टम बनाया, इट इज हाईली ड्युअलिस्टिक, जो हेरिडिटरी है। लेट अस ट्राई टू address this problem. It's a social problem, it's an intellectual problem, it is doing intense harm, immense harm to our existence, you know. So what is the path? उन्होंने कहा path तो धर्म का path है, path non-dualistic है, as I so they, as they so I. Identify yourself with the others. Gandhi's talisman. Recall the face of the poorest of the poor. If your mind is too much obsessed with yourself and you are in perpetual self-doubt. गांधी जी की मृत्यु के बाद उनके तकिए के नीचे से मिला। ऐसा किसी सोशल साइंटिस्ट ने ऐसे सेंटेंस नहीं लिखे जैसे उसमें सिर्फ 4-5 ही तो सेंटेंस हैं उसमें। गांधी का अद्वैत दर्शन है, व्यवहारिक अद्वैत दर्शन है टेलिस्मैन, जो एक चुनौती है सारी सोशल साइंसेस की पेडागोजी के लिए। जो वही मैं कह रहा हूं कि वही तो दर्शन पर पहुंचे बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर। अपने पूरे विरोध, अपनी पूरी भिन्नताओं के बाद कहते हैं, I shall endeavor to follow the noble eightfold path and practice compassion and loving kindness in everyday life. Look at this व्यवहारिकता. And then he said, आप ध्यान रहे, जो 10 perfections हैं, human qualities जिनमें उन्होंने कहा मैं धारण करनी चाहिए, दान, शील, शांति, वीर्य, ध्यान, प्रज्ञा, then शौच, अधिष्ठान, मैत्री, उपेक्षा। 10 चीजें हैं जो मुझे परमिता की तरह, परमिता का मतलब क्या? परम, जो श्रेष्ठ हैं। और इता इसे 2 तरीके से हुआ है, एक तो परम और एक है पर और मिता। You have gone beyond that, मिता। You have gone beyond that. By adopting these values, you know, by following these values, you go beyond the mere domain of this world. ये निवाण की तरफ आप जाते हैं इनको। You remain in the world, but you attain a position of right mindfulness as well as samadhi. ये तो उनकी पोजीशन है, मेरी नहीं है. वो कह रहे हैं ये तो गोल है हम आपको दे रहे हैं कि you can also realize that position if you are spiritually enabled. But in order to be spiritually a spiritually enabled citizen, you don't have to disbelieve the world as it is. नहीं, इस दुनिया का यथार्थ भी समझना है. ये जाति प्रथा का दैत्य हमें मारना है जो कि जिसने हमें डसा, त्रास दिया, ये भी समझना है. लेकिन कब तक? वह कब दिशा आएगी जब प्रज्ञाशील, करुणा, दान, शांति, समत्व, समानता पर आप खड़े होंगे. क्योंकि जैसे ही आप खड़े होंगे तो सबसे पहले आपको पूछना होगा, डू यू हेट अदर्स? तो क्या ये आज की, चाहे वो दलित पॉलिटिक्स हो और चाहे वो मेन स्ट्रीम पॉलिटिक्स हो, ये इन सवालों के लिए दे आर नॉट रेडी टू एक्सेप्ट दीज क्वेश्चंस एज द वैलिड क्वेश्चंस, बिकॉज दीज क्वेश्चंस are spiritual ethical questions which are needed to be answered in order to create a good society, है ना? A society which is rooted in the emancipation of all, है ना, equality of all. जिसे हमने कहा कि without equanimity, without samatva there cannot be samanata. समत्व के बिना समानता नहीं होगा. और क्योंकि वो कहते थे, आप annihilation of caste का स्ट्रक्चर देखिए, उन्होंने कहा कि ये कास्ट जो है, इट्स ए मेंटल स्ट्रक्चर. Until or unless this mental structure goes, caste will never disappear. इसलिए उन्होंने कहा कि ये जो समाज की पुनर्संरचना, ध्यान रहे, annihilation of caste का एजेंडा सोशल है पूरी. वो क्या उनका दर्द है, उनकी पीड़ा ये कि ये उसमें तो घोषणा करते हैं ये पूरी हिंदू सोसाइटी सड़ी गली सोसाइटी बनी जा रही है ना. पीड़ा देखिए अम्बेडकर की. तो वो कह रहे थे ये सोसाइटी ही नहीं है. In fact, it is not worthy to be called society. क्यों? इन्होंने ये बुराइयां, मैं ज्यादा नहीं, ये बुराइयां हैं इसमें. उसका मेथड उन्होंने बताया कि इस तरीके से इन पर हम विजय पा सकते हैं, समाज को एक रस बना सकते हैं, समरस बना सकते हैं, हम उसे सॉलिडेरिटी क्रिएट कर सकते हैं. ध्यान रहे, हिंदू समाज को जोड़ने का बहुत बड़ा प्रयत्न एनाइलेशन ऑफ कास्ट से भी हो सकता है. उसका प्रधान, उसका जो स्थायी भाव है, अगर मैं थोड़ा एस्थेटिक टर्म यूज करूं, उसका स्थायी भाव है उस समाज में एकता का अभाव. समाज में क्यों विखंडित हो रहा था, क्यों? वो ही कोट्स द एग्जांपल्स ऑफ इस्लाम as to how Muslim invaders came and they walked all over on us from all sides. We were defeated because we were not united. ध्यान. तो ये जो बाबा साहब का पक्ष है, ये हम भूल जाते हैं. उन कुछ बातों से आप बाबा साहब से हम भिन्न हो सकते हैं और कह सकते हैं ये बात, क्योंकि एंगेजमेंट है उनमें चिंतकों का. बाबा साहब ने कहा हम सारी बौद्धिक परंपरा को डायनामाइट लगा के, वेदों को और स्मृतियों को डायनामाइट लगा के, दे शुड बी पुट टू डायनामाइट. तो गांधी ने उसका जवाब दिया था, है ना. गांधी ने कहा भाई ऐसा नहीं है, पहले पढ़ तो लीजिए ना उसको, उसमें जो भी गलत सलत है उसको बाहर फेंकिए. But your entire society as a whole has got to be accepted. And then you see that all those texts have redemptive positions which are radically different from those positions which are grounded in injustice, exploitation, oppression. है ना, उनसे बिल्कुल अलग है. Why shouldn't we focus on those and create a समरस समाज? तो अंबेडकर और गांधी का उसी 1936 में एक exchange of letters है, जिसमें गांधी ने बताया कि ऐसा नहीं है. और ये अगर ना होता तो ध्यान रहे, ये एंगेजमेंट ही तो था कि गांधी और अंबेडकर का वजह से जो पुनः पैक्ट होता है, इट वाज मॉडरेटेड बाय नन एल्स देन मदन मोहन मालवीय एंड टैगोर. ध्यान रहे, Marxist historiography posits Madan Mohan Malviya as a kind of communalist nationalist. Lala Lajpat Rai, Madan Mohan Malviya, Tilak and Bipin Chand Pal. तो ये तो बड़ी अजीब बात हो गई कि बाबा साहब अंबेडकर माने भी तो किन की वजह से माने? टैगोर और मदन मोहन मालवीय जी की वजह से मांगे, पुनः पैक्ट कर लिए और समाज को फिर से जोड़ने का कार्य शुरू होता है. पॉलिटिकल डोमेन में भी, it is that residual dhamma force residual force of Dhamma or Dharma that reintegrates, that is needed. So he says that I will renounce Hinduism. Again, मैं थोड़ा सा इसको brief कर दूं. जहां पे वो renounce करते हैं, वो भी सुन लीजिए.
सर,
हाँ?
actually link will be expired very soon. तो थोड़ा सा हम 5-1 मिनट में wind up करें तो
ठीक है,
अच्छा
5 मिनट. ठीक है वरुण जी, sorry. वो कहते हैं I renounce, hereby I renounce Hinduism, which is harmful for humanity and it impedes the development of humanity because it is based on inequality, and adopt Buddhism, and hereby I adopt Buddhism as my religion. ध्यान रहे, ऐसा construction of Hinduism which is based on doing harm to humanity or which impedes the development of humanity, जैसे माता भूमि पुत्रो अहम पृथिव्या, where सर्वम खलु इदम ब्रह्म, where तत्त्वम असि. ऐसा ये तो हमारा, और हिंदुइज्म तो इसे हम कहते भी नहीं जो बाबा साहब कह रहे थे. दिस इज द सनातन धर्म परंपरा, you know. So that is acceptable to me, that was acceptable to him. Hinduism was not acceptable in that form, which is exploitative, dogmatic, because Hinduism is a very negational, very exclusive, very oppressive construct, as Gandhiji as well as Savarkar. I can quote chapter and verse that even Gandhiji was against such construction of Hinduism, as well as Savarkar was against this. So this is it. This is enough. Now again, I will, for 3 minutes, I will try to focus your attention on one, that the best critique of Gandhi and the best discourse on nation itself comes from Baba Saheb Ambedkar, from his work which he published in 1940, Thoughts on Pakistan. My dear friends, there is no time to discuss on these works. But remember the most important 3 things I would say. That it has almost 60 pages where he critiques, and in a very argumentative fashion, not in a reductive fashion, but engaging with Mahatma Gandhi, he exposes the faults in Gandhi's discursive positions, you know, which resulted or supported the kind of fragmentation of consciousness as either the Hindu community or the Muslim community. He said that you have to understand the discourses of both, that is the Hindu tradition as well as the Islamic tradition. He says that merely having an idealistic view or a utopian view, Gandhi's view was quite utopian and non-practical. He proves it chapter and verse, quoting Gandhi's greatest blunder on the point of the acceptance of what? Khalifat, and starting the non-cooperation movement on the basis of religious problems, religious issues, that this is the view of Islam to be supported in Turkey, whereas the Muslims in Turkey were supporting a very progressive view, ethical view for the rebuilding of the nation, you know, under Kamal Pasha. But Gandhi took the sides of those who used religion, Islam as a religion, remember, dogmatic form of Islam. And he said that Gandhi's positions was contradictory on those points. So again, this two-nation theory, he says, he quotes from the Western tradition. And one essayist, one critic, French critic that he highlights the significance of is Ernest Renan. His essay, 1884 essay, what is a nation? Remember, a nation is but a spiritual principle. That essay that shows Ambedkar's Catholicity of vision, that as in our tradition, Rashtra is based on Swaraj. That is the ethical position. You cannot have a Rashtra, you can have a Rajya which is based on tamas, which is based on violence. Rajya can be, it will be an ethical Rajya, but the notion of Rashtra in Indic tradition is a very spiritual ethical position. Ernest Renan posits it, and Ambedkar quotes Ernest Renan, that we are not a nation in the European sense of the term, where the Abrahamic faiths, the Semitic faiths have a kind of uniformity, a commonality of language, religion, culture, you know. And so language, religion, culture, and it is this uniformity that is used to form up different communities in the form of the nation. in the West. Now in India, it's a kind of values that were accepted by the people as a common way of life. Therefore, differences and diversities, were always grounded into a commonly acceptable path of life, dhamma or dharma, you can call it. It is only on the basis of this that it was a moral state. It was a kind of, as he said, it was a dhamma rajya, if you want to use Ambedkar's position. So, and contrary to this, Islam, he says, will never accept this dhamma rajya. They will have a theocratic state, because the discourse of dominant Islam is religious discourse. It talks of peace, but peace among, there is a very important passage, that it is peace among the followers. It is not peace which pervades all, remember. So he says that since there is no meeting ground between the Dhammic position and the dogmatic Abrahamic position espoused by the Islamic orthodoxy, or the thinkers who are orthodox. Now remember, therefore, the history tells us that this imposition of the sanctions, impositions and interference of the Islamic orthodoxy in the discharge of the secular affairs. Now, this has been the bane of the Abrahamic faith. Therefore, if the people are led to believe that they are completely different from others simply because of their religious way of life, which is not a dharmic way of life, remember. So it is this that forms the bedrock of the thoughts on Pakistan, because thoughts on Pakistan is not merely a division of two territories, one territory into two territories. And remember, he quotes from history also. Remember how the thoughts of people like Sir Syed Ahmad, you remember, when Sir Syed Ahmad, when the Congress was founded in 1885, how suddenly Sir Syed Ahmad's discourse became or takes a communal tinge, in the sense. He says that constructing a particular community as a different nation altogether is possible only on the basis of religious orthodoxy. It cannot and should not be on the basis of dhamma or dharma, because you are either reducing dhamma to religion, which one will never do if one is a follower of dhamma or one is a follower of Buddha, or one is an Indian. एक भारतीय को अपनी धार्मिक आस्था को अपनी पंथ की जो आस्था है उससे अलग रखना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि धार्मिक आस्था सर्व समावेशी है. It is an all inclusive, धार्मिक आस्था. It is an all inclusive धर्म केंद्रिकता, धर्म सापेक्षता, which is not based on any exclusive religiosity or religious discourse, है ना. तो ये जो थॉट्स ऑन पाकिस्तान है, ये भी हमारे सोशल साइंसेस के बच्चों को पढ़ाना चाहिए, क्योंकि इसमें जिस तरह से नेशन का नैरेटिव बिल्डअप करते हैं वो ए काइंड ऑफ कम्युनलाइजेशन ऑफ द कथा ऑफ भारत, वेयर भारत गेट्स डिवाइडेड बिकॉज द पीपल हु once upon a time they all were Indians. They were following a path of life common. But suddenly what happened and why it happened, that some of them got converted to another faith, and then they became the votaries or instruments of the partition of India. So it's a very important book that has to be studied by the... So my dear friends, I sum it up by saying that it's very difficult to have hatred, enmity, or violence against the other if one follows the path of Dhamma, which is the path of Dharma as well. There are perversities, there are distortions, and through Pragya, Shil, Karuna, and by following either the points of Dharma, which are there in the Sanatan Dharma, either by following the Gita, it's Deviya Sampada, 26 of them, or the Manusmriti, 10 points, 10 attributes of Dharma, that is the ethical conduct. So by following these emancipatory positions, which are not religious positions, we can make a new India. We can make an India where Bharata stands on its Ananta Katha, Sanatana Katha, That is the meaning of India, as Raja Rao said. That Bharat is not merely a desh, Bharat is a darshan. But Raja Rao said, Bharat is not a desh, Bharat is a darshan. You can say Bharat is a desh as well as darshan. So this darshan of Bharat lies in its katha. Katha, both the senses, the stories of India, the narratives of India, as well as the argumentative tradition. No, I don't have to follow Amartya Sen to say that, because Gautam Rishi is my example. Gautam used the mode of katha to attain the truth. The truth can be known if we follow, if we practice, if we adopt the method of argumentation, which is the method of narrating katha. Dhanyavad.